Okay, so today we have Benjamin Scarbeary from Colorado. Ben and I have been working on a few of the YouTube videos and projects since last year. Ben is in college right now, and Ben has a lot of wisdom and insights in terms of how Ben started his video editing agency and how, he's grown social media accounts as well as, made a great income of it. Yeah, Ben, so would you like to give an introduction about yourself?
Of course, thank you so much, Royston. So, as mentioned, my name is Benjamin Scarbeary. I'm currently a rising sophomore at CU Boulder, and my journey in content creation started roughly 5 years ago. It started a little bit before COVID 19. I was just interested in video games. At that time, I think it was Minecraft or Fortnite, whatever was popular at that time. And then COVID hit. So I was stuck at home, and I had virtually nothing to do and all the free time in the world. So I decided to take a risk. I decided to start creating content on the games that I enjoyed. Started out as a small YouTube channel, didn't think it was going to go anywhere or do anything. I just did it because it was something productive to do and it was fun. Turns out I was fairly good at YouTube, at the content creation, at the editing, at growing social media channels. So from COVID-19, when it was peaked from like 2020 to 2022, I was running my own personal gaming channel, and I grew that to decent size, nothing crazy. I think it was like 35 to 50,000 subscribers. So
That's
decent
really
size. It's bad to say. Pretty good size for your first time doing it for like a 14 or 15-year-old. It was a pretty cool accomplishment. Then in like 2023, I decided that I wanted to transfer my skills and create even more impact on other people's stories and journeys. So I created my own basically video editing agency and social media agency with the goal to help influencers tell their stories, to help them tell their stories and grow their channels so they can spread their message and, change the world. But that's, a bit of the big picture things. So I continued doing that for a few months, for about 6 months or so. And then I met with Royston in the summer of, what is that, 2024. So 1 year ago. And then I helped him grow his YouTube channel over the summer. Took a bit of a step back over college because I obviously had to work and do a bit more education. And here I am, 6 years into my content creation journey. I've launched my own YouTube channels fairly successfully, and I've helped manage some of the brightest and best influencers in the world, including Royston.
Thanks for the introduction, Ben. So, curious, like, what got you, started in this foray? Like, who, like, were your, like, inspiration or, like, icon that you look up to? Or, like, what got you into, like, the world of, like, YouTube growth, your YouTube channels and in the first place?
As mentioned, it was kind of during COVID 19, I had nothing at home to do. At that time, I was creating content on Minecraft, so I guess my inspiration could be considered like Mr. Beast or Technoblade. I wanted to eventually become, one of those famous influencers and get millions of views and make a living playing video games. That was the dream for a 13 or 14-year-old who was going into COVID. Found out it was pretty good. It was fun, and I fell in love with creating content more than I did the actual games itself. And from there, that just spurred my passion to continue moving forward.
Got it. Yeah. Like they did a survey on like, oh, what are like the top dream jobs for most people? And for our generation, like your generation, which is like generation younger, is like all like content creators, influencers, YouTubers and stuff, which is interesting. It's like by default everybody wants to,
Yeah.
um content creator. So for the gaming channel, like was it like just a bit more like difficult to monetize in the gaming niche, compared to like other niches or
What I found is whenever you start your YouTube channel, the first channel is always the hardest. The first time you try something new, obviously you're not good at it, so it takes longer to get to the point of monetization in terms of like a YouTube ads perspective. In terms of the gaming niche, there's not a whole lot of money in like sponsorships, some of those other external monetization outlets, which is definitely a drawback of the gaming niche compared to finance, tech, or some other thing. It's harder to find brands who want to sponsor Minecraft channel content, just to be frank. And that was definitely a hurdle, but I enjoyed doing it was what I loved doing, so it was worth it.
yep. When it comes to like entrepreneurship, and like starting all this, like usually the first sort of project and stuff, it might not be your last, but that leapfrogs you to your next one, like whatever skill sets you learn and experiences you gain along the way, those are invaluable to help you become more successful the next one. So like, you showed a lot of great stats, you've generated, I think over like, if you can keep us up to date, like the last stats you showed me was like 20 mil views, 100K subs, $6,000 in monetization. Like, is that like a more updated stats compared to those?
For my own personal YouTube channels, I think it's been
Like
increased.
with
Oh,
others, with the
and
other
others.
channels that you grow as well.
There is more updated stats. I frankly don't know what those stats are off the top of my hand. Definitely a lot more over the past year. I've been doing more content and more work for that. I definitely say monetization from like 6,000 is probably up to like 20 to 30,000, so in that range.
Oh, so 20, 30,000 right now.
Probably total throughout the past year, yes, I'd say so.
Okay.
In terms of work and growth, yes.
How about views and subs? Like
Views and
all
subs,
accumulated.
yeah. Views and subs, it's probably closer to the channels that I've worked with and helped grown, probably like 400 to 500,000 in terms of subs. Views, I honestly have no idea. It's probably 50 to 70 million at this point. But that's just, again, rough ballpark without actually looking at the hard numbers.
Okay, that's really impressive. So when it comes to like offering this sort of YouTube like video editing services and stuff, like what's your like sort of outreach approach? Because there's like a million sort of channels, there's a million people to reach out to. How do you know like who's worth your time?
I definitely think something I've leveraged over the past few months is this useful tool called YouTube Jobs. It is
Mm,
basically a LinkedIn board, but for YouTube video editors and for YouTube specifically. That has definitely been a unique avenue to find jobs itself. And from an influencer perspective, it's a unique place to find video editors to help you. So definitely think utilizing that platform and then just doing some basic cold email outreach.
okay. And in terms of like learning about like video editing and stuff, cause like, you're really skilled at this, like did you just learn it off like YouTube and like trial and error, or like how did you like get so good at this skill?
I definitely say practice makes perfect. It was, I mean, the first video I ever uploaded was definitely lower in quality in terms of editing. I don't even know if I edited it for the first few, but it was a combination of trial and error, a drive to just make better content for my own brands, and then watching YouTube videos on how to get better at editing. But I think at the end of the day, practice makes perfect. Continue to upload, continue to edit, and iterate every single time. Find something that can be improved every time.
Okay. Do you think like when it comes to like video editing, whether it's like short form, long form, like do you think anybody can do it? Or is it like do you need, a sort of like creative mind, or do you gotta be like really interested and passionate about it to be able to do it well? Like what are your thoughts on it?
I definitely think having a creative mind and having a passion for it definitely make it easier. I think the only thing you really need to get good at video editing is an interest to get better. I think is if you're interested in video editing and want to continue to get better, everything else kind of falls into place.
Okay, interesting. So like, you grow and manage multiple like YouTube accounts and stuff. Like what niches like have you dabbled with? Because I remember like last time, like apart from the gaming niche, you also showed me like a couple of your own accounts on YouTube where it's like the make money online niche, the wealth niche that pays like a higher CPM and RPM and whatever. Um, what other like niches that of YouTube channels do you manage?
I definitely think in terms of YouTube channels, it's a good chunk of the finance of how to make money.
Mm,
Frankly, there's more money in that particular niches than say gaming in terms of just RPM and how much I can get paid. So that's one of the main niches I've focused on. One of the other niches that I've like dabbled into and try to get better at is the tech niche. New tech, especially like AI, is, I mean, it's exploding, and there is a ton of money involved in that as well. So really, it's like, for lack of a better term, finance and how to make money online, and then new technology and AI that have been the main focuses for me.
Yeah, I can see that, like AI sort of intersects with like people want to use AI so that it can be more efficient at work or use it to create like a side hustle and stuff. So like there's a lot of money flooding into it. And now everyone's like trying to learn as much as they can about AI, like what's
Yeah.
the newest AI hack or AI sales agent or tool that I can use, whatever.
Yep.
So when it comes to like the YouTube landscape, like in 2025, like it's like never been more competitive and stuff. Like what's your, start to finish sort of process in terms of like, ideation and all that, and just walk us through it.
I think it is definitely getting competitive, so it's important to be unique and stand out more than ever. That's how you grow. So the first step with that is obviously finding a topic that people are interested in, and then doing research and finding a way to put your own unique spin on that. Whether it's gaming, whether it's finance, whatever it is, finding something people are interested in, and then doing constant brainstorming, iteration, trying to create the best scripts, the best thumbnails, the best whatever that give you a unique voice and a unique perspective that isn't currently available. I think that's one of the best ways to grow. And then once you have that unique perspective, the script, the plan, the whatever, it's finding ways to record it. And then, I mean, video editing is a healthy chunk of the time when it comes to creating content, especially on YouTube. The two biggest time sinks is the research and the planning of the video to make sure it flows properly, and then it's the actual editing. The actual recording itself should be the fastest possible part. The most detail should go into planning to make sure it runs smoothly, is unique, and then using editing to provide a creative touch and give that extra edge of uniqueness. You don't always need to be the best editing, the fastest, the whatever. So the more you can focus on the planning and the scripting, the less creative you have to be in editing. You can still be creative in that post production process, but definitely emphasizing creating the best possible content that is unique and where there's a market fit, where people want something that is not currently provided, is what I would recommend.
And what's the breakdown of like the success factor, like how much does idea or like the entire, story and script plays a part compared to like the editing, compared to like, like what's the success factor, like what factors and the percentage that it contributes to the success of a YouTube video? If you can just give us like a sort of pie chart breakdown,
I'd say the most important part, let's just say 60% of the success, is
Mm,
due to the research and finding a topic that people are interested in. If you make a video, it doesn't matter how good it is about something that no one cares about, it doesn't matter. The video is not going to get views. So the first most important step is doing the research to find a topic that people are interested in, and then create a script in some way or a plan for the video that addresses that script and makes it unique and interesting. That's the biggest part, again, like 60%. Then I think the actual video itself, like the quality, is probably like 20 to 30% of the success. Again, it needs to be a good video and get people engaged and have good flow throughout the entire thing. But one of the most underrated parts is the thumbnail and the title. It doesn't matter how good the video is if no one watches it. So you need to be able to have a good topic that people are interested in. Get people to then click on that video through thumbnails, through titles, through whatever it is. Get people into the video. And then once you have a topic that people are interested in, people click on, the main focus is just how good is the video. This is both video editing, production quality, script writing. However you define as good video, that's the last step for success and the final piece of the puzzle.
interesting. And I'm curious, like, what's your take on like faceless sort of documentary sort of videos compared to like someone showing the face, and how important is like the face to it? Because like for example, for short form content, um like for example, like when it comes to sales and stuff on Instagram, like all the difference was this like it's usually like a male dominated industry, but all that really changed was like this just female sort of figure just came out, and she just started blowing up just because it was just a different gender, and like she has the look.
Yeah.
So how important do you think that is?
I think the biggest thing that having your face does for you is not in terms of the video success. I think whether you have your face on the video or not, if the video is good, you will and can grow. The biggest thing with having your face on the video is getting people to connect more with you. If you're looking to get sponsors for your videos, they would rather sponsor someone who they can put a name and a face to, and it's more reputation building. In terms of actual content, like the views you get per video, I don't think face is a huge factor. In terms of external sponsorships, external deals, and turning YouTube, Instagram, whatever, into a platform where people recognize you as who you are and like you build a personal brand, I think if you're building a personal brand, face is very valuable. If you're just trying to grow a YouTube channel and don't care about those external sponsorships, I think it's not a make or break. It might help a little bit, but it's not make or break.
And that makes a lot of sense, because I've seen like a lot of like documentary sort of channels, totally faceless, gets as viral, and the only issue, as you said, is the sponsors aren't willing to spend as much because there's not much of like a rapport building. So if they promote like a product or service, the conversion isn't as high. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. And what are your thoughts on like short form, long form? Like why don't you transition to like being more of like a short form sort of editor? Because nowadays, like right now, like clipping's a big thing, like a lot of short form editing, that's a even bigger trend. Why don't like you move towards it?
I definitely think short form is something I have considered moving towards and do have some projects working for short form. I think in terms of like revenue per thousand views, long form and short form are vastly different. Long
Mm-hmm.
form gets more money per view and it's not close. However, short form is becoming more and more popular. Something that I feel like is different for short form and long form, well, like you mentioned with clipping, there are so many now AI tools that will just clip for you.
Yeah.
Like there's not again, some shorts you need like a true video editor for, but for the most part, for clipping for whatever it is, you can
Mm-hmm.
just have this program run it for you. Maybe you pay like $15 a month to get the
Yeah.
subscription access, and it does all the work for you. There's not as much niche or need for video editors in short form.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay. So going back to long form YouTube, like you mentioned, like the ideation process is the most important thing. And you say creating something that people want to watch, but it has not been served yet. So like how do you know what people want to watch? Like the typical strategy is just like, see other people's viral video, then create a version of it. That has worked well for a lot of YouTubers, but sometimes they get ousted for like being a copycat and stuff. So like that's a one show way to do it. Then the second is more of like doing the research in terms of like the keywords, tails and stuff. So like what's your best strategy when it comes to ideation?
For ideation, I think using what's already been done and proven to be success is a good idea. At least using it as a reference point to say, okay, this worked. How can we tune this and tailor this in a new and unique way? To find that new and unique ways, I think there's a bunch of tools, vidIQ, Creator IQ. There's a bunch of tools to let you do, especially specifically on YouTube, like keyword analysis. For example, you can search up ChatGPT. It'll show you the score of how much people are searching ChatGPT compared to how many videos already exist on ChatGPT. So, for example, ChatGPT, obviously it's a very high search volume, but I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of videos on ChatGPT. So, finding and using those tools to find things that are heavily searched, but are not heavily, but there's not a whole lot of content on, is something to consider when finding your unique competitive niche or market. And then once you've found that, using strategies and successes from what has already been proven to work and integrating that into your own videos is a great idea to blend new and innovative ideas with proven track records and success.
What sort of like videos like do you work on like right now? Like, are you able to like just share a few examples in terms of like the at least the title of the video or like the gist of the sort of types of videos that you work on, so at least we have a context in terms of like what sort of videos you usually like produce.
Right now, there's like three different types, broad types of influencers I work for. The first one isn't particularly on YouTube, it's on Instagram, but I work for some like USA Olympic athletes to help produce content and reels for them, specifically the Winter Olympics, because that's coming up in like 6 or so months or whenever that is. That's one area. So, for example, the title is would be my daily prep as an Olympic athlete or something of the such, and it's more like a vlog or a highlight reel style of content creation. Another side is kind of similar to like Darman videos, if you know what that is.
Yep.
Like some of those like scripts, like funny skits, scripts types of things. For example, I mean, come up with Darman like any crazy title. Homeless guy goes to restaurant and XYZ happens. You won't believe it. And then doing that is a different type. And then the final type is more similar to like the finance and the AI. This new AI tool can automate your workflow and make you X amount of money in X amount of time or whatever. Those are the three broad types of videos that I do. It's like the athlete type videos, the AI self help, how to make millions online type videos, and then like the Darman skits and lifestyle videos, for lack of a better term. Those are the three main ones that I'm doing currently.
Those are three very different types of videos.
Yes, yes, they are.
Yeah, amazing. And in terms of like the scripting process, like, you really sort of shared with us like your ideation process in terms of like using softwares like vidIQ, but how about like the scripting process? Like everybody knows like, the first minute is like the most important, but what's your scripting process?
For me, the script. I mean, once you have. So the research already been done, you already have all the information. Usually, what I like to do is just write out a first draft script. Just write. Don't think if it's good or bad. Just write out the first draft script of what I think is like. Okay, this is how it's gonna be. One thing I usually do is I write how I talk. So you can use this either by like talk to speech or just typing how you talk. But writing how you talk and how you flow is a good way to get just the base ideas down. And then usually what I do from there is I use AI tools to either give me feedback on where to improve in the script or have it create its own version of the script and then compare what it created with mine and find a way to constantly tune and refine. Like once I'm done writing the first done and then doing a review, I'll look at the first, 30 seconds to a minute specifically, be like, okay, how can I make this as interesting and engaging as possible? So I think it's a lot of iteration and a lot of getting a good chunk of using AI's feedback as a second source or a second opinion to mine. Ideally, you'd have like another video editor, another person review it, but having two opinions give thoughts on how to make this script better, specifically focusing on the first 30 seconds and how to make that as good as possible.
Okay, makes sense. And like, do you like usually like do everything yourself or like do you like sort of hire like for certain parts, of the process or
I think for the most part, I do it myself, and then I just use AI agents and tools to help automate workflow. Most of the mundane work, if you will, I'll usually have some sort of AI agent do. So once I have like a base idea for a video, I'll have like ChatGPT or Gemini do like a deep research query on that topic, and it gives me back better research than I could have ever done in far less time. So I don't necessarily hire out, but I do kind of offload my work to AI for what I can do. And the kind of any work that's not creative or requires a creative mind, I usually offload to AI. And even then, sometimes some creative things I'll have AI help me brainstorm. Other than that, no, I usually don't hire out.
okay, makes sense. usually like, they say like AI would replace everything except, like the creativity process, Uh, got it. Okay. And in terms of like the editing software, like do you just use like Adobe like Premiere Pro or like
What I started on was DaVinci Resolve. That was the platform that I started using, mostly because it has most of the features of Premiere Pro, but completely free. So as a way to start out, I recommend using DaVinci. It's a high-end tool that has everything you need, and it's free. Once you start getting clients, you start getting paid. I think starting to migrate specific functions to Adobe is a good idea. For example, if you're doing like visual effects or VFX or creating animations using, I'm blanking its name, but Adobe's version of that, I think it's Adobe After Effects, using those specific softwares is what I use and I recommend doing. Start on whatever's easiest and free, get good at that, and then once you get to the point where you get paid, find the best possible medium to create whatever you're trying to create. And then once you're getting paid, you can start to splash around that cash and get the highest quality tool needed.
got it? And what are your thoughts on like Filmora,
I originally I started on Filmora. The reason I migrated to DaVinci was because, at least at that time, again, this was like 5 or 6 years ago, DaVinci was free and Filmora was not. Filmora, I don't think there's any problem with it. Most of the industry standard is Adobe with the secondary for like films. DaVinci's the standard. For YouTube videos, it's usually either Adobe or CapCut. So I'd recommend starting off with DaVinci or CapCut because it's free, and then I don't know if Filmora is currently free, but then migrating towards Premiere or Filmora if that's something that interests you.
sense. So like for people first starting out, do you recommend somebody to, let's say somebody want to get into like YouTube, like content creation, being a creator, the creator economy, do you think somebody should focus 100% of the time try and be a content creator or like uh like help like offering a service to like other like content creators or like have like what are your thoughts on
I think for the most part, if you're trying to start out, start creating your own thing. Just really start out with my best advice is just do something.
that?
I would definitely recommend, I think the easiest way is to start creating content yourself, mostly because it does need to be quality. If a creator is trying to hire you out to do some sort of tasks, usually they're, unless it's an intern position, in which case take it, they're usually looking for a certain quality and standard, and usually the only way to build that quality and standard is by either an internship or just doing it by yourself to get the hang of things and then going and working for them. So I'd say in the beginning, it doesn't matter. Just get experience where the person who you're creating content for knows that you're inexperienced and will likely be a shitty first draft. And then from there, pursue. Then from there, you need to look inside yourself and see if you'd rather be a content creator or if you'd rather help other people.
Got it. Okay. And like nowadays, like it's so difficult to be like a full-time content creator as a beginner. Like, like all the challenge, like when it comes to like challenge videos, like the challenges are getting, crazier and crazier, and it's getting very costly. Like it costs a lot of money to do those kind of challenges or like those kind of viral videos and stuff. Then when it comes to like, those kind of tutorial videos, like yeah, a lot of people who are like way more credible to do it. So like the landscape is getting like almost impossible, for lack of better way. Like what's your advice or like what's your take in terms of like somebody who just wanna, get into this and be successful, because it's like so difficult to stand out. Like
Yeah. I definitely say leverage your strengths. Somewhat like no matter who you are, you have some sort of strengths. Whether that be humor, whether that be a good monotone voice for, whatever it is, find your strengths and then find a way to leverage that. For me, one of the ways, again, this is a few years ago, but one of the ways that I stood out was trying to incorporate humor into everything I did. For me, it was gaming, so it was a bit more common to have humor at that time. But I do like gaming guides and I try to crack jokes and make people laugh and try to be a humorous space as a way to just stand out because that was something that I thought I was pretty good at and tended to work. So I'd say find whatever your strengths are and then leverage that in some way. Whether you're really good at if you're really good at a specific game, you're really good at coding, if you're really good at whatever it is, find a way to turn that and use that as a unique advantage. Again, it is getting competitive, but the only way to grow is to lean into your strengths and try again. Know that you're going to fail. It's bound to happen at some point with YouTube or really with anything. Push through that, find your own strengths, and continue to make the content better in some way each and every time. That'd be my own personal advice.
So what sort of like failures or challenges or experimentation played a role in your growth as a YouTube creator?
I think this is something I didn't realize till a little bit later on, but most videos you upload will be failures, at least in the beginning. There's always, first off, there's always something to improve in the videos. I don't care if it's Mr. Beast, I don't care who it is. There's some small detail somewhere in some phase that you can improve upon. So I think definitely some of the ways that I failed was, I mean, yes, obviously videos flopped. The true failure was like not improvising or changing anything. I think that's something that really hurts is that when you're doing something, it's just not working and you keep on doing the same thing. I mean, like Albert Einstein's like the definition of insanity.
Yep.
So finding a way to change it up when you fail, try new things, understand that it's risky, but at the end of the day, it's YouTube. If it doesn't work out, who cares? You can just delete it, worst comes to worst. So definitely say experiment, try new things, be a risk taker, and always improve on the last video. Find something small somewhere to make better every single time, and eventually by video 500 or whatever, you'll be getting hundreds of thousands of views.
Makes sense, okay. And how do you track like growth and success? Like what metrics are the most important for you?
I'd say in terms of metrics that are most important, the two things you really need to like look out for is are people clicking your videos and are they watching them? Those are really the only two metrics that truly matter. Are people intrigued by the concept that you have? And is your video good enough that they will watch it to the end? So this is usually impression click-through rate and average view duration. Generally, though, I'd recommend not focusing on increasing the metrics per se. What I'd focus on doing is making the best possible video, and then by doing that, the good metrics will follow. Metrics are an indicator of success. They are not success itself. It's possible to have a video that has a really high impression click-through rate but flops. So don't chase metrics. Create good content and let the metrics chase you, is what I would say.
Okay, makes sense. And just to backtrack a little, um, might be a bit repetitive, but if you're able to like walk us through how you produce like a typical video and the key points that you recommend for people focus on.
Again, it's kind of very. The first step is finding the content they're going to create and making sure it's something that's interesting. Again, you can use keywords, analytical tools. You can just see what's trending in your niche. So, for example, if you're in the finance niche, you're like, oh, okay, this video by X person got a million views in the past 24 hours. That's probably something important there that's happening. Finding a way to capitalize on that is the first step. Once you have that idea, doing research on the topic to become knowledgeable about it. If the topic requires knowledge, use AI to do deep research. Do whatever it is to get the knowledge on the topic. Once you have the research done, make a script, review that script, edit that script, continue to iterate on that script until it's something you like. Personally, I usually don't even read from my script. I've done it enough times where I just write the script, and then the act of writing the script, I know what I'm going to talk about, and I can just kind of go from the hip, if you will, and I'll hit most of the points on that script, even though I'm not going word for word. Once you have your script done, I would usually recommend listening to the audio of that script. The more you listen to yourself, the more you realize where you kind of suck at speaking. Everyone has those faults. So finding a way I'm like, oh, I paused too long there. I did XYZ wrong there. Learning that sometimes, usually I'll do like 2 takes of audio. The first take, review it, see what I did wrong. The second take, where I correct it. Once you have the audio, ship that into the editing software. Find a way to get content for it, either if that's A roll or B roll. And then most of the brunt work is with the editing, making sure that the video flows and matches the style that you're trying to create with the script and the audio. Once that's done, again, iterate, and then it's the title and the thumbnail and the final touches to make sure that people actually want to click on the video.
Makes sense. I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts, like, because you've been in the YouTube space for the past 5 years, so where do you see the future of YouTube lies? Like what's like the next big thing? What's like, where does the opportunity lie? How like does the landscape change? Like, all of that.
I definitely think the answer everyone will tell you is AI. I mean, that's kind of the trend right now. Is AI
Mm-hmm.
is going to change everything? It's going to take jobs. Whatever, however you define it, AI is a new thing. Finding a way to leverage that in some way is probably a good idea. Whether that's adding it to your processes for YouTube to make the research, the script writing, that whatever better, or taking it and turning your long form videos into short form. I think an aspect the YouTube Shorts isn't great at is short form content. I think YouTube is behind TikTok and Instagram when it comes to short form content. That will hopefully change with YouTube Shorts at some point. But I think definitely the future of YouTube, if you will, is going to be finding a way to create the best possible content using AI and then finding a way to take that content and maximize its return. So take a long form video, chop it up into shorts, but you can upload on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, whatever. Finding a way to make the most of the content you've already produced, I think, is a good idea and something that will be going towards the future. We're already seeing more like AI generated voice videos. I mean, we've seen a lot more faceless videos that have AI voices with them. I think that trend is something that will continue to increase as AI continues to get better. We'll probably, I think, in the next 6 months to a year, we'll see like good quality videos that are completely AI generated. Like when you say into ChatGPT, make me a video of XYZ, and it just generates the actual visual video itself. AI is still working on getting there. I think it will get there in the next 6 to 12 months and become something that we see more often, for better or for worse. Finding a way to use the tools so that way the tools don't take your job is something that I would recommend everywhere, but especially in YouTube.
I agree. Like with the quality of editing that you do, it's like it's really like you do like one of the highest quality of editing possible. But I can see that AI is able to do the same thing as well, because
Yep.
AI is able to like study all the other videos and like, you know, recreate it, right? So,
Yeah, 100%.
mm. Maybe like in the near or distant future, we're just able to like type the uh title of the video, then you can create like a full-blown, full-fledged video that somebody can just upload to YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see how content creation changes with that. I think we're going to see a lot more once it gets good enough, which it will eventually.
Mhm.
It's a matter of time. I think
Yep,
we're going to see a lot more fully AI generated videos, more than
yep.
just scripting, more than just the audio. I think we're going to see AI visuals, and truly, I don't think anyone knows how that's going to shape the space, but being prepared and ready to utilize that tool is something that'll be very key if you want to stand out and continue to succeed.
Yeah, even like with short form, it like AI is really doing it, there's a lot
Yeah.
of AI sites that create full-blown, very well like faces sort of content and videos. The only difference is they just gotta make it to like a 10-minute YouTube video that's, in sync and makes
Yep.
sense. So probably like some genius tech guy, from Silicon Valley is gonna like create that kind of startup and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think like one way is like to start building a personal brand, right? Otherwise, like it's impossible to stand out in the world of these faceless AI content.
100%. I think it's going to become more and more important, for lack of a better term, to add personality to your content, to have that
Mhm.
personal brand, to have that face, the humor, the whatever it is that AI can't take away from you. I think faceless content will change through AI, and it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. But building a personal brand is a surefire way to set yourself apart and kind of make yourself immune to the effects of AI created videos. It might still like hamper and change how you do it, but it won't destroy you.
Got it. So, you've come a long way since like, COVID, and you're still like really young, like you're still in college and stuff, and you've already, made so much of progress and stuff. It's like, what's next for you?
Something that's next for me that I've been working on is I'm working on creating my own AI platform to help content creation and influencers. Specifically, what I'm working on, I'm talking with people who are far more smarter in terms of developing AI about it, is creating a tool that will allow brands to basically retroactively sponsor content. So let's just say, I mean, you know how influencer marketing works. Brand reaches out, say, "Hey, I want you to sponsor Nike. Make a video about it." Great. The tool that I'm working on building is a way for you just upload a video about Nike doing whatever. If that video does well, brands will be able to latch onto that and just simply sponsor it after it's already been uploaded, just by changing the captions because the content already exists. So I'm doing some more research into the feasibility of how can we, because I mean there's a ton of content everywhere that includes brands, in the beauty, makeup, and there's a ton of try-on hauls that aren't sponsored by brands but still contain those brands in a favorable light. Finding a way to capture and sponsor content that's already been uploaded is something that I'm working on because it's a far cheaper, takes less time, and it's already proven, so there's more potential for rewards. So that's something I'm looking at and creating a tool to help brands sponsor content that's already been uploaded and finding a way to grow with that.
I think that's a great idea. The only potential issue I see is because like it only work for like long form content because like short form content like dies out so quickly, with the algorithm and stuff. So it would work well with like long form content with like longer longevity in terms of the video of people watching them.
Yeah, 100%. That's something we're considering and seeing, again, talking to people who are far smarter, to see if it's feasible to have a real time tool that can track and update brands when content's. I mean, as you know, like short form content gets most of the views in the first 48 hours. That's just how it goes. Finding a way to implement a tool that will just notify brands, 12 hours in, hey, this product contains your brand. It already has 1,000 views, 100,000 views. It's on pace to get 3 million views. We think you should sponsor it now and you can still capitalize on the potential 2.9 million views or whatever. That's something I'm considering. If if to make retroactive sponsorship a thing for short form content, timing is going to be very key.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's a really brilliant idea. I can see, Yeah, your journey like is like resonates with me a lot, and it's a real sort of entrepreneurship, sort of entrepreneur's journey. Because even with myself, like it's the same thing, I think with most people, like your first sort of venture or project usually isn't your last, then that leapfrogs you to the next one and the next one, and after like so many years being in the industry and knowing your stuff, then you're able to see opportunities like this that other people can't see because you're in the trenches, and
Yeah,
you have that insider, practical knowledge that people just wouldn't be able to like replace with your
100%.
real hands-on experience. So let's say the final question is like any like words of advice, words of wisdom for like especially people first starting out, people trying to get into the space, you know.
I definitely think this is true for most of life, but especially content creation. think it's a quote from, I think it's like Henry Ford. Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. The whole idea is believe you can succeed,
Hmm.
understand there's going to be failures, and continue to persevere. There's going to be failures. I mean, content creation, entrepreneurship, however you want to define it, you'll encounter 1.5 million roadblocks that you didn't even see coming. You have no idea how to
Yep.
solve. But
Yep.
finding a way to continue to push through and keep on going, that's what determines the successes from the failures. So, determination, if you truly want to get good at something and be the best and change the world, keep going and don't let anything or anyone stop you.
That's a very good intangible advice. How about like tangible advice?
For tangible advice, I definitely say, in terms of like creating content, find a way to use AI and find a way to leverage your skill set. If you are doing something that you're passionate about, something that you're good at, and using AI to make it faster, you're going to love it and continue to do it. We've all been in those jobs where you're just working and it's boring and you want to quit. If you can find something that you truly are passionate about and leverage that, you'll want to work on it more. And then, for like, again, tangible advice, use AI, find the niche that no one else has done, and use your unique perspective, skill set, whatever, to stand out.
Yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, appreciate and thanks for your time, Ben. It's been a great close to an hour sort of insights, great insights.